Hello, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com. Welcome to night one of the WrestleMania post-show here. This is Wrestleview Live number 89. I am joined by a very esteemed panel tonight to run down everything that you could possibly want to know about night one of WrestleMania. But before I do that, let's just run down the card. We'll say hello to everybody, and then we'll get going here. All right, so what the heck happened on WrestleMania 37 night one? Well, what didn't happen? It was a really interesting start to the show. We had Vince McMahon on the stage, flanked by WWE performers, gave the old "Welcome to WrestleMania" thing. Actually, that was more of a Macho Man than a Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that totally was. Not gonna lie.
You know, Victoria's here,
yeah,
by the way. By the way,
Never
Victoria's
mind,
here.
Sorry.
And it was great, and I was like, okay, good. I knew that Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre were opening the show, and I was amped up to see them. And then all of a sudden, they cut to Michael Cole, Samoa Joe, and Byron Saxton, who said that we're going into a weather delay, proving that 2020 and 2021 are undefeated still. We're this close to wrestling with a live audience, and freaking Mother Nature gets in the way now. They had thunderstorms. They delayed it for about 35 minutes before I think Drew McIntyre started making his entrance. Anyway, Bobby Lashley defeats Drew McIntyre via referee's decision. Drew McIntyre passed out to the Hurt Lock to retain the WWE Championship. Natalya and Tamina won a tag team turmoil match, and less said about that one, the better. Cesaro defeated Seth Rollins. I can't wait to talk about that one. AJ Styles and Omos defeated the New Day to win the Raw Tag Team Championship. That was more exciting than the match itself was. Braun Strowman defeated Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny defeated The Miz and John Morrison. And in the main event, for only the second time in history, first time at WrestleMania 35 with Becky Lynch defeating Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey to win the Raw Women's Championship and the SmackDown Women's Championship. Women main evented a WrestleMania pay-per-view. This is night one of WrestleMania. Bianca Belair defeats Sasha Banks to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. That is also the first time two African Americans have main evented WrestleMania. So very, very historic, very interesting. And to help me break all of that fun stuff down, I am going to introduce this esteemed panel now. Joined by Victoria Tedesco and Mr. Roy Nemer.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, guys.
We got Mr. Roy Nemer here. He is excellent. He does an excellent job on the SmackDown post show. He was on last night, busy doing his thing. He's just awesome. And Victoria, of course, my loving wife, my loving co-host. We're ready to have.
I just want to say one thing about Roy. Roy, I want to say one thing about you real quick.
Yeah.
So, obviously since Mike and I live together, but like there will be times where like you'll either like Mike will be in the bedroom or I'll be like in the basement.
This is getting weird already here.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second.
No, and
What
like
am I doing?
and then I like walk in like with my phone or like Mike walks into whatever I'm doing and like we're both listening to Roy's show. Like, but
yes,
separate,
we are.
Like, but
we
in
do.
Separate parts of the house. Like, we don't sit and like listen together.
We do.
We do.
Roy's show gets a double listen in this house. Sometimes we do. We don't even know we're doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like on a Friday night, like I like our thing that we like to do is we like McDonald's hot fudge sundaes. I think that they're just excellent.
I don't know why, but they're delicious.
So when I pop in the car, sometimes I'm just like, let me turn on Roy's podcast.
Yeah,
I'm just driving to
yeah.
McDonald's, listen to Roy's podcast.
Yeah.
He does a great job on that.
Yeah. No, but like it'll be separately though. Like we're like, oh, you're listening to Roy right now too. Like it was just
indeed,
it's just funny.
Indeed, we are interesting people, as I would say. But Roy does.
Thank you for that.
Roy does an awesome job on the SmackDown post show. So I'm excited to talk about WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we should just start off real quick. What we like to do on Wrestleview Live is not be bitter, not complain, not, say what they should have done. We first like to talk about something that we really, really liked. So I guess I talk to Victoria all the time. I don't always have the esteemed pleasure of talking to Mr. Roy Nemer all the time. So Roy, I'm going to let you kick us off. What was your favorite part of WrestleMania 37 tonight?
Having the fans back, definitely. It just felt so natural. So it just added a lot more to the show, right? Fans aside, though, if we're talking about like a specific match or specific anything, Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, definitely.
Yeah.
For me, I absolutely loved it. Loved it, loved it. Can't wait to fully get into it. But glad to see Cesaro finally get his moment, his big WrestleMania moment. Kudos to Seth Rollins as well. I've hated on him in the past, but I can't hate on him too much tonight or at all. I thought he was an excellent dance partner, so to speak, for Cesaro tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the fans. I think we have to talk about that one first, because that was I know for me, like I've talked about this in the past where I've been like anticipating something and sometimes it doesn't, come to fruition. I remember, as a kid, I talked about this on Post Raw, but for those that are joining us tonight that haven't ever seen us before, if you're enjoying what you're watching so far, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, of course. On Post Raw, which I host with Victoria over here, we're on every Monday after Raw. I talked about, when I was a kid, I remember like being in 7th grade, being in Mr. Kemper's English class and looking at the clock. And I remember it said 9:00 in the morning. And I was like, oh my God, just 12 more hours to Raw. And just that anticipation, I felt like that today. And I wasn't disappointed. Like they've really built themselves in like this like kind of weird bubble where it's just like, okay, even if everybody knows it's crap in the ring right now, we can just press the cheer button and everything seems like it's going great. Well, they didn't have that option tonight. And I love that they didn't have that option tonight. Because damn it, that tag team turmoil match sucked. And I know I said I didn't want to talk about anything bad to start off Wrestleview Live, but that tag team turmoil match sucked. And they got the instant feedback. Nobody was there to press the damn cheer button.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And they let it be bad.
I have to say,
the fans made it known it was bad.
I was pretty bitter last week. If anyone listened to the podcast last week, I was pretty bitter about, fans really coming back. And honestly, I have to change my tune a lot. It was so nice to just see people reacting to things, like actual people reacting to things. And it was nice to hear people reacting to things. Whether they liked it or not, you got a genuine reaction. And I really just felt so excited. I felt normal and it felt good at the end of the day. I don't care if it didn't they didn't have like a whole bunch of people. That's fine. But the 25,000 crowd could, if they can continue. I know you said that they are not looking to get fans back until the fall and everything, but if they can keep that momentum going, and then that's even something more look forward to. So,
right, indeed,
right, absolutely. And you could tell, especially towards the main event, the start, where half the chants were we're chanting EST, the other half were chanting Sasha Banks. So it was EST Sasha Banks, EST Sasha Banks. It just it just adds to it. I missed it so much. Really missed it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what gives wrestling. That's what makes wrestling wrestling. I it's always weird for me to quote myself and stuff like that. But I said in the tweet tonight, I said it was amazing to have fans back. I was just so burned out on someone pressing the cheer button on stuff that's just bad. Professional wrestling without fans, and we saw this last year in the Performance Center, and they did a hell of a job at WrestleMania 36. I really thought they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, considering the circumstances, for sure.
Everything against them. We were right in the beginning of that pandemic. We didn't know if you touch the surface, if you're gonna, I touched the surface, oh my God, I'm gonna get COVID now. Oh, the mail comes in. Well, I guess I don't have to pay that bill because we're quarantining our mail for 2 weeks until everything dies. We didn't know anything, and with everything against them, they put on a show that was representative of the best that they could do for WrestleMania. But it had a WrestleMania effort to it. But at the end of the day, without fans, without noise, it's just people in a ring doing acrobatic stuff with baby oil on. It's just kind of weird. It's this weird thing. But I mean, you look back and you can take away like things that were really good that came from that. Like Asuka emerged in the Performance Center because the best people that were going to be the most entertaining were going to be the ones that talked the most, and Asuka just killed it on that. She emerged. She was already a star, obviously, but she emerged as like a real superstar. So there were some good things that came out of it, but man, it just felt like wrestling tonight, and I wasn't disappointed. I was looking forward to this all day, and damn, it just felt good to hear those people again. It really, really did.
And a part of it as well was really, I totally agree. And like the other aspect was because it's been a year, the fans to a certain extent were kind of unpredictable. You don't know who they're going to cheer. You don't know who they're going to boo.
Exactly.
Are they going to cheer because like Bobby Lashley, for example, he got a couple of cheers.
Yes.
When he won, there were people celebrating, and I don't know if that's something they were expecting or not. And it just, again, it's been a year. You don't know who they like, who they don't like. Damian Priest, Bad Bunny, Miz, Morris, like everyone. You're like, okay, well, are they gonna cheer these guys, boo these guys? And Bad Bunny, everyone loved him. And celebrities sometimes don't always get the biggest pops, but hey, it did. Worked for him. And it's stuff like that, and it adds to the unpredictability of it all.
Yes, but also it keeps like sometimes I don't like fans being part of the show, but damn, there needs to be some direction to the show, and like the people that are writing it, they write a lot of stuff. They write a lot of content. I don't think they do it particularly well sometimes, but that's my opinion. But they need feedback. This whole entire thing, like this whole year was just them shouting into an echo chamber almost. It's like going into a QAnon message board, just hearing all the crazy stuff that you want to hear. Oh yes, this Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins storyline is excellent. Let's give him 4 months of that.
Wrestling,
right?
And wrestling, like you said, is,
if there were fans there's no way that feud goes 4 months.
No chance. And like you said, you just said before, wrestling is very specific, in terms of sports entertainment. Because, think about even like, they did bring back, we were watching baseball, and even like, when football was going on, like they did bring fans back into some capacity. But there's nothing like a wrestling show because, with the game, right? Like with the baseball and football, there's certain formula that has to take place because that's the rules of the game. It's kind of set in motion. And, you hear like people in the background. Yeah, you cheer when there's a touchdown or when someone gets a home run and things like that. But wrestling is very specific. Like Roy was saying before, you don't know who somebody's going to cheer or boo at the end of the day. So there's no exactly. So you really have to rely on that feedback immediately in order to kind of, drive your storylines. They didn't have that for a year.
Right.
So now it's
and Nick Khan, no relation to Tony, who's the WWE president, even said like, it'll be great just to get that feedback from the fans because you can go on Twitter, you can go on Twitter
right.
and read the feedback there, but Twitter represents a very small percentage of the actual fan base, and that is pretty true. You go to a show in Brooklyn or something like that. That's a pay-per-view. You're going to get all the crazies coming out that are, on Twitter and all that stuff. But like I remember before SmackDown became, SmackDown on Fox, it was like a taped show. Going to a SmackDown taping, like remember in July we went to that one 4th of July.
Yeah.
Right after my grandma died, and it was just littered with just kids and families, and like those are the people that are watching, tuning in. It's like they can't get tickets fast enough to go to the pay-per-views, but like at a show like that, that's the real fan base.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to just have those people there, give feedback, hear from them, see them. It was just good to see people having a good time watching wrestling.
100%.
Absolutely.
So, Roy, thanks for bringing that up. I really wanted to talk about that. I'm glad you mentioned it first. Okay, Victoria, And before we do that, let's say hi to the people in the chat room as well. We got Grash here, we got Demetrius here, we got Daniel Shell, we got Ashley from the UK, we got Andrew Elder, our buddy, we got Tyler Upston, we got Brett Farmer, we have Quentin Walters threatening to get naked, we got Brian here, we got Uncle Billy here, we got I know we have other people here. I'm looking for them. Mishoon Walls, we got. Okay, if I didn't say hello to you yet, just say hello. All right, Victoria. I don't know why Quentin's starting to get naked, by the way. There is no context to that whatsoever.
Oh, boy.
Nafis Sadat, our buddy Nafis Sadat is here. Hello, Nafis.
Hey, everybody.
And Goosey's here. Excellent. All right. Victoria, what was your favorite part of night 1 of WrestleMania 37?
Man. Okay, it actually was the Miz Morrison Bad Bunny and Priest match. It was really good.
Yeah.
I don't, we'll talk more about it, but it was even though the Miz lost, he was the one pinned. It still was a really good match, and Bad Bunny, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. I mean, normally like a celebrity coming in, they don't really perform that much. They do a couple things.
Indeed.
For shock
Yes.
factor and like, oh, wow, it's like a celebrity in there. But this is somebody who's like internationally known and is very mainstreamed. And it's like, okay, he was very impressive.
Yeah. He was really, really great. I was the performance of Bad Bunny. Like, I didn't know. Honest to God,
I didn't know what a Bad Bunny was.
I didn't know Bad Bunny before the Booker T performance at Royal Rumble, and I didn't particularly like the song. I was just like, it was whatever. And a lot of people jumped on me like immediately as soon as I said that. I was like,
oh my God,
it just wasn't a good song. I appreciate that he did something for Booker T, and I appreciate that him doing this song got Booker T to don the GI Bro gear again. I mean, that in itself is a freaking win. But I just didn't think the song was good. Oh, you're a boomer. It's like, oh, fuck yourself, boomer. Go scratch, bro. Boomer. Give me a break. It just wasn't a good song. Anyway, but Bad Bunny is a legitimate star. Grammy winner. And this is just in the time he's been with WWE. He's won a Grammy. He's been on Saturday Night Live. He's been all over the place. This is a major get for WWE to get this guy. And it would be enough if he just did like the Snooki thing and came in the ring at the end. And notice John Morrison was in that match too.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Notice John Morrison was in that match.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
And the Miz was main eventing that pay-per-view.
All right, relax.
I'm just saying, that was 10 years ago.
Calm down.
Anyway, but like they could have just done the Snooki thing and had like Bad Bunny come in there and like do a bunny hop elbow to the corner and just pin the Miz or whatever and just like be like the stupidest thing on earth. But Bad Bunny put in a performance as a celebrity at WrestleMania. No, just as a celebrity, period, blew me away. I mean, I remember like when Stephen Amell, he's not like a star. But when he came in, like at SummerSlam 2015, he had a good match. I thought he had that good tag match. But to do it at WrestleMania, this guy is a huge fan. You could see how much time and effort he put into this match. Huge
Incredible. Fan. It really was. It really was.
That performance, and Roy knows wrestling history as much as me. I would put that up there, and I want to know your opinion, Roy. Like, I would put Bad Bunny's performance up there with the likes of like Mr. T at WrestleMania or Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania, or I'm trying to think what other celebrity, like it's above Aki Bono. I know that.
That's for sure. That's for sure. No, look, I would agree. I definitely put it up there. The only one that comes close, and granted it wasn't WrestleMania, but what's his name? Pat McAfee.
Oh God, yes, Pat McAfee, of course.
Like he surprised the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But no, definitely Bad Bunny tonight was like they did the complete opposite of what they did with AJ Styles and Omos, where it was, AJ for 20 minutes or 90% of it, and then almost the last like 2 minutes. This was all Bad Bunny. Yes. I was surprised as fuck with that Canadian Destroyer at the end. Granted, John Morrison protected himself and did, most of the work, but it was surprising. You could tell, like you said, he's a fan. And in terms of celebrities, I would put that up there. I would for me, anyways, that's better than Mr. T, and that's better than Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11, just for the fact that it's a bigger audience, the pressure's on him. I'm not saying he's a bigger star than Lawrence Taylor was or Mr. T or anything like that, but there are more people watching WrestleMania now than there was at WrestleMania 11 or 35 years ago at WrestleMania 2. And the pressure's on him. If he screws up, he'll become an internet meme overnight. And he took those risks and high risk, high reward, because it freaking paid off.
Yeah. That was on when he pulled off that Canadian Destroyer, man. I was like, what? I think I put in the in the recap. I just go, what? It was that was crazy to me. That was crazy. And Brian Farmer just mentioned that Miz was on Busted Open Radio on Friday and said that he was out of character, and he said that Bad Bunny had trained in Orlando every chance he got since the Royal Rumble. He left SNL and went to a ring. Like, that's how committed he was to this, and it showed. I mean, he was taking like bumps, not just like ooh, I got knocked down and they crumpled to their knees or whatever. Like, those were bumps. Really, I mean, he was laying in right hands on the Miz, but like the Miz and Morrison, I can't say enough about them as well. Like, they could have just done this as a singles match. Like Damian Priest was there. Like this is more of a vehicle to try to get him over in the end of the day.
Yeah.
And to me, he was just there. I'm obviously not a big Damian Priest fan as it is, but there wasn't anything that was like wildly impressive. But on a big stage in a big match, he held his own. Let's just say that. But Miz and Morrison, not everybody could do this match. Not everybody could put the ego aside and give Bad Bunny that much offense. Take that many bumps for Bad Bunny. Like Miz and Morrison get it.
Yeah.
They really get it.
The elements work. Everything about this worked. The individuals that he was involved with, they were the perfect pairing. They were. Miz is the type of guy, yes, he's a company man. He says yes to a lot, maybe more than he should sometimes. But this was a good move on his part to not let his ego get in the way and be like, I'm going to do this. And you know what? At the end of the day, it looks good for him because obviously that they're going to talk about this with Bad Bunny. And talking about Bad Bunny and talks about the other individuals who were in the match with him. And, say what you want about The Miz. He is more mainstream. He's an MTV veteran. Like, he knows this. Shut up. Like, seriously.
God, get mainstream.
Oh, my God. Get out of here. What you...
Whoa. All right.
All right. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Don't even.
I'm not.
But you know what I mean? Like he's the perfect individual. And Morrison too. Morrison, he also does. He gets it. He totally gets the whole, like, the bigger picture in all this, a fun match, something to highlight the show, to get people who normally maybe wouldn't watch, because obviously you're getting people who maybe not watch WWE, but they're like, oh, I like Bad Bunny. I'm curious to see what he does, in the ring and how he's whatever.
I got to tell you, I got more feedback on the Bad Bunny tweet than anything I got tonight.
So, I mean, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, people were definitely curious. And like Roy was saying, that was a representative match. Like that was representative of what professional wrestling is. He's a huge fan. You could tell he's a big fan. Yeah. And he, like Roy said, he could have been an internet meme if this didn't go well.
No.
Like, Roy, like you cover soccer, egos, agents, like,
For sure.
What do you think Bad Bunny's agents were saying to him when he was saying, like, I want to do a wrestling match?
Don't take your shirt off.
Yeah.
It's probably number one. Don't take your shirt off. No, I guess, look, just be careful. But I mean, like you mentioned, and like the Miz mentioned on Friday Buster Open Radio, he has been training. At one point, I read this actually tonight through Twitter. I don't know how accurate it is, but apparently he had rented a spot in Orlando the past 2-3 months just to be closer to the performance center, like you said.
Yeah.
So he does take this seriously, and you could tell. And even on my soccer Twitter timeline, whatever it is, some people were mentioning it because obviously, Latin Americans and stuff like that. So like, oh, Bad Bunny, and Conejo Malo, which is Bad Bunny in Spanish.
Yeah, hey.
And then I'm like, what? So I start reading, and people are retweeting his Canadian Destroyer. People are retweeting Miz's reaction to it. The what's it called? Was it the Falcon Arrow that he did
Yeah.
on Morrison as well? So it got attention. It got attention again once more in the Latin community, at least a little bit in soccer as well, which is surprising. And it tells you how big of a coup this was for Vince and the WWE.
Yeah. It was really, really big. I'm actually kind of curious to see like some more coverage of it like later on, like like when I'm online later and just seeing like headlines about like Bad Bunny. I thought
And the Miz.
and the Miz,
And
the
the Miz.
mainstream Miz. Right. And we got CJ Bowman in the chat room tonight. He mentions Mayweather Big Show, but to me that one, like Floyd Mayweather, that was a good showing. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors that went into that though. There I think like half of Floyd's entourage had to get like wiped out, but they still pulled that one off too. I still remember Big Show Mayweather at WrestleMania 24. They didn't even announce the rules of that match until SmackDown on Friday, right before WrestleMania, and it was just like a little scroll at the bottom, a little cry at the bottom of the screen, just saying like what the rules of the match were, because they couldn't even like hammer down like what the hell they were gonna do in this thing. How are we gonna get out of this? Total smoke and mirrors. But it wound up being good. They always pull, if I may, a bunny out of the hat at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Come on
dear
now.
Lord.
That's a dad.
Are you
that's
talking
a
about my
dad joke.
mainstream
All right.
Miz?
You can motherfucking boomer me now on that one. You can call me a boomer all you want on that one. That was pretty bad. But I am a dad, so that's okay.
Yeah,
and
that's
that
true.
one
That was
that one
dad
was
joke
really
right
more
there.
of a shout out to Jerome Weiland, who is the king of dad jokes. So I want to make sure that I got that in there for Jerome tonight. So Jerome, if you're watching later, that one's for you, buddy. All right. My favorite moment of WrestleMania 37. I got to talk about the women. I got to talk about a star-making moment for Bianca Belair. We've been talking forever about how this division needs more stars, and yes, like the tag team turmoil match. We'll talk about like this. It by no means is this like, oh, that's it. The women's division's back on top. It's gonna be great. No, this is not what that means. There's a lot of problems in this division, but they need stars in this division to carry it. And tonight, Bianca Belair was solidified as a star. And it wasn't just like, oh, like Sasha Banks was finally, for once, everything that she's said that she was, which she gave her a great match. But by no means was this just like, Sasha Banks carrying the match. Bianca Belair did a lot of intricate, difficult, technical stuff that, with somebody with her experience and on this level of stage, it's very easy to screw all that stuff up. And she gave a star-making performance. She might very well be, by come Monday, come Friday night, the face of WWE. That's how good she was. That's how much personality she has. That's what I think she could be. Is really just the face of WWE, the face of like the next generation of stars. So she'll be that torchbearer for the women's division, in my opinion. Now they need more women. Tomorrow, I'm very interested to see what Rhea Ripley does against Asuka. I think that could be another star maker. But we can't just be like, thank God Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey are reportedly coming back, and Becky Lynch posted a thing of her doing weightlifting. Oh, very cool. We can't just rely on just those combinations of women. We can't rely on just Bianca Belair. We can't just rely on Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Bayley. There needs to be more. And maybe what they have to do is combine the rosters of Raw and SmackDown just as a temporary fix. But NXT needs to get Raquel Gonzalez super hot and get her up on the main roster. You know, right now NXT needs to live up to what it's designed to really be, which is not so much a television show as much as it is, you know, they'll be like the Pittsburgh Pirates to the New York Yankees. You know, like they just churn out stars for another team. Like we need Raquel Gonzalez going. I need Dakota Kai going. I need to see. I want to see Candice LeRae get going. You know, there needs to be an infusion of talent, so that these storylines are more than just like for the title. You know, like there's no women storylines that are that don't revolve around the title. There's nothing personal. There's no so like there's nothing ever personal. How can you ever develop a character, like a real character? So I want to see that. I want to see that grow. And you know, whatever the tag team turmoil match was next year, may WrestleMania be better for every one of them. You know, may they have a better match next year at WrestleMania because they put some time into developing a true women's roster. But for tonight, what Bianca Belair did, what Sasha Banks did, I'm blown away. I was super impressed. That hair whip, I can still hear it reverberating in my head. That was crazy. What the hell was that?
That left a mark.
It did. Yeah. Like Sasha Banks is like, her midsection was really like scorched. Yeah. Pretty good. But okay, as the resident woman on this podcast, Victoria, why don't you tell us what you thought of the main event of this year's WrestleMania Night 1?
I'm not going to lie. I was very skeptical putting this in as the main event. I really was. I'm the type, as everybody knows that does listen to our show, that I don't like doing things for the sake of doing things. You know, if we're going to put the women in the main event, they should deliver the main event, you know? Don't do it just because you want to have two, you know, females be part of it. With that being said, though, again, I have to, you know, retract that, you know, and the skeptic was definitely gone because they 100% delivered. I'm not a big Sasha Banks fan either. I'm not. But it was interesting, even in the pre-show tonight, you know, Sonya Deville kind of, you know, was talking about, you know, her thoughts, right, in Sonya Deville's character. She goes, you know, she talks about how she's the boss and she's this, but has she ever really shown us that she's the boss, right, of anything? So it kind of resonated with me a little bit because we always talked about my issue with Sasha Banks is like, what is a boss really? Like, what does that mean for her character and what does that contribute to her matches and her whole demeanor, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Tonight showcase that. Tonight I really saw that character in her match. Like I really was able to see like, okay, yeah, there's this boss, there's this confidence, there's this dominant woman in the ring who is, you know.
Well, that was the Sasha Banks that I saw in Brooklyn in 2015.
In 2015,
that blew me away in that match with Bayley.
Absolutely.
I was there live for that, and I was just blown away. That was the NXT Sasha Banks that everybody wanted to see.
That everybody wanted, yeah.
Nobody wanted like Sasha Banks to come up and be smiling and
like
that whole crap.
But
nobody wanted that.
They really delivered tonight. The two of them, it was main event worthy in my opinion. Not just because it's historics in the making with being women. They had a woman, but having two African American women, right?
Right.
But it was a really good match, and it definitely, in my opinion, not just because they're females, it definitely was worthy of being a main event match in this setting, this WrestleMania first night. Mm-hmm. So I do give my hats off to them and say that they did a phenomenal job. Bianca Belair is definitely a star. She definitely has so much going for her. And Sasha Banks is in her true self now, in my opinion, back to where she was and back to that excitement. And you know what? The fans did genuinely enjoy it too. You can hear the reactions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like Roy was saying before, you know, that back and forth of calling out both of their names, you know? Yeah. So there was a genuine interest, genuine appeal, and it was a home run. They did a phenomenal job. They really did.
Indeed. Now, Roy, now Victoria was the resident woman. I wanted to get her opinion on this. Roy, as the resident Sasha Banks super fan, what did you? What do you say?
Look, Look, whenever I'm wrong, which is not often, no, I'm joking, but whenever I'm wrong about something, I'll be the first one to admit it. I'll admit I was wrong. Um, I genuinely thought the only reason this was going on last was for the fact that, oh, well, it's going to be women and two African American women and all that stuff. Thankfully, that wasn't the reason why it went on last. And I was wrong. I was expecting Sasha Banks to have her, 4, 5, 6 suicide dives and all her acrobatic stuff and everything, which wasn't the case. Sasha Banks we got tonight in the ring was one that unfortunately we don't get to see often. We really, really don't get to see the Sasha Banks often because the ones that we do get often hits 3 frog splashes, 2 meteoras, the suicide dives, everything. This was different. This one, you could tell she actually tried to tell a story in the ring. I love the constant, oh, I'm going to go after Bianca's hair and try and pull it. And she was very clever in using it, for example, in the bank statement or trying to use it on the ropes. Very good. I enjoyed it. I ended up enjoying this main event. I was going into it expecting to hate it, but I was honestly surprised. I was honestly surprised. This was a WrestleMania main event. Sorry, this was a WrestleMania match worthy of being a main event. Looking back at it, which I can't believe I just
agree
said.
with you 100,000%. Like Brian said, or I'm sorry, it was Grash that said it. It wasn't the greatest of all time main events. It will be remembered as a good main event.
No.
But again, in order to have like those great all-time main events, you need to have like super characters and super over. We don't have any of those in wrestling today. Maybe tomorrow night we'll see what happens with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge. I think they might blow the roof. Well, there's no roof on the place, but the roof over the ring that they built to protect it from the rain, which didn't do a good job of protecting from
Apparently
the rain, by the way,
no.
because all the ropes are wet. But this, it was representative. It was what I would consider a WrestleMania main event. It was well wrestled. It told, like Roy said, they told a story in the ring. There was aggression there. There was passion, and most importantly, I also thought the same thing that you did, Roy. Where I was like, like the fans on Twitter, cried and moaned and bitched this into existence and got it to the main event. I didn't think the story warranted main event. I thought that I didn't particularly like Sasha Banks, who I feel is a crybaby sometimes, and we're not that far removed from her, just in 2019 walking away,
exactly,
and wanting to quit because she wasn't getting her way. But she, it did get the main event, and it did perform. It did deliver on what you would consider a WrestleMania main event. So I got to say my hat is off to them. Now let's talk about the stuff that didn't make the main event. Number one, how about freaking starting the show with a rain delay and all of these impromptu promos for a half hour? What the?
I'm not gonna lie. I really genuinely, I'm like, oh, here we freaking go. Here's 2021 in the making. Here it's gonna be I was like, it's gonna be a shit show of a WrestleMania. I was like, what the hell else is gonna happen? I was like, oh, really? A rain delay? I was like, really? This is happening right now? I genuinely thought, I'm like, we're in for it, people. Like, this is gonna be bad. This whole show is gonna be terrible.
I agree, and honestly, this somehow, some way, this could be a blessing in disguise. The fact that it actually happened, because those 30 minutes worth of promos that we got were arguably the best promos we've gotten out of anyone in the past 2 years.
Amen, brother.
Let these guys talk. Let them talk. Don't give them a script. Seth Rollins was so much more enjoyable tonight than he's been in 2-3 years, if not more. The New Day or the New Day. Who else was there? Kevin Owens was great. It was fun. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was entertaining, and it made
Lashley,
sense.
MVP,
Stop scripting them.
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, Drew. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so intense. So intense. Although I feel like they got hurt. Well, I'm gonna mention why in a second when we get to it, but I feel like the rain delay definitely hurt Drew and Lashley.
Yeah,
And
I think I know where you're going with that, but yeah, but to circle back
yeah,
to that point, and that was something I didn't even think about, because I did really like the promos, and yeah, hell yeah, the reason why I liked them was because they were unscripted. That really was great. I mean, like Drew's promo, like after they cleared them away, after they got Bobby Lashley away, and he showed like a charisma that like he doesn't get to show all that often. Like he cuts a good promo. I mean, I'm not gonna say Drew McIntyre. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's never cut a good promo because he does. And even the canned crap that they give him is sometimes good. But he like the thinking, the quick thinking on his part, like, oh, Sarah, stand on this side because just in case they come and blindside me, you're in my way. Like that was really funny. And then like how emotional he was about like the weather, because if you saw his, what was it, like WWE 24, like one of those documentaries about him from last year, where he talked about like his journey, and of course like a freaking pandemic's gonna come and take away his moment at WrestleMania. Like you could see like that very real emotion bubbling up in him, like Jesus Christ. And now like I'm going to open up. I couldn't wait to get out in front of the crowd and be the first person that the crowd sees. And now the freaking Mother Nature is trying to stop this. Like, of course, just one more hiccup in my journey. There was a lot of emotion there. I thought it was really, really well done. And I didn't finger point it until you just mentioned that right now, that the reason that those damn promos were so good was that they were unscripted.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And it did work out. It really did work out to everyone's benefit that they were able to do that. And it didn't hold up too much time. You know what I mean? Like, it just showcased a little bit.
I was thinking like, oh god, they're just going to be going back and forth with just promo, and I was like, this is going to get old after. But that 35 minutes blew by.
It did.
It really, really did.
Yep.
And because the promos were good. Now let's circle around to the WWE Championship match that did open the show. Drew McIntyre was the first round. He got a very good reaction on his way to the ring, but because fans were still returning to their seats and it was still raining, people were in ponchos. It wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. But Roy, you had a point to make about the WWE Championship match. So just to recap for everybody, Bobby Lashley put Drew McIntyre to sleep with the Hurt Lock and retained the WWE title in the first match of WrestleMania 37 Night 1. How did the weather affect this match, Roy?
I feel like it killed their momentum and they had no adrenaline. The adrenaline just died completely by the time the match started. They felt, but watching again, I could be very wrong on this, but I'm watching the match. I'm like, okay, is Drew injured? Is Lashley injured? They were moving very slow, and it's not that they were gassed or anything, but you could tell that adrenaline. Because look, we've all played sports, or we've all, I don't know, danced or anything like that, and when you get that adrenaline going, you move and you do anything. But when it dies down, you could tell it died down. And by watching this tonight, by watching that match, I'm looking at them like, there's no way these guys still have the adrenaline that they had an hour ago. And I really, really wanted to like this match, and I thought they put in a good effort, but I just could not get behind it. I couldn't enjoy it. And I'm a big McIntyre fan. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing with Lashley right now with the Hurt Business, although they messed it up and broke him up. But the match itself for me just kind of fell flat a little bit, and I think it's because of the delay, the weather, the rain, and ultimately just a drop in adrenaline.
When I saw the match, I was just so happy to hear reactions. But you're 100% right about that. In hindsight, thinking back on what I watched, I did notice them being very careful. I even put it in the recap when they were outside the ring. Early on, Lashley was sending him into the barricade, and he went to go send him into the barricade one extra time, and Drew slipped on a puddle at ringside. You could see that ringside was just drenched, and that, I think, made them be extra careful. I know the canvas was wet, and I know that the ropes are wet. And there was a couple things that they had to do on the top ropes that they looked like they were being very careful on. And when you start thinking about, like, I think this is the same. This is the same in any type of, combat sport or any type of physical, work that you do. Like, I think any stunt person will tell you that, if you're thinking about something other than the stunt you're doing at that time, that's when things get really hairy. That's when things get really dangerous.
Yeah.
I think, when you start getting concerned about, what could happen, something bad's going to happen in the moment on something that you're not concentrating on. And yeah, there were, they seemed a little stiff in the ring. Bobby Lashley, I know, taking that Northern Lights suplex didn't really rotate all that well and didn't get over. It almost landed on his upper shoulders there. There was a few scary moments, but at the end of the day, I was happy with that match just because, number one, it was just great to hear the fans. It was a finish that I didn't see coming. Like, it's WrestleMania. I don't want to.
That's a lie.
I don't want to know everything.
That's a lie, by the way.
Well, okay. How's that a lie?
It's a lie. You knew that Bobby Lashley was going to win.
I said that I want. Okay, so on Post Raw, you have to tune in. Number one, it's the Raw after WrestleMania. It's like mandatory for wrestling fans to tune into that. But on Post Raw last week, me and Victoria made a bet. We bet on 2 matches, and whoever loses gets pied in the face or whatever. We're gonna have a whole thing going on here. So I, just trying to be the nice husband that I am.
You were not being the nice husband. You knew damn well that he was going to retain, and that's why you chose it.
I did not. Okay, so I picked Bobby Lashley to win just so I would finally take a pie, and of course, Bobby Lashley.
I'm
does
still getting
win.
pied in the face. I don't understand. I really don't. I really don't. But in all seriousness, okay. So I agree with both of you where Roy, I do agree with you where, like, there was this caution that they had to kind of take that, with it being wet. I thought the same thing you. I'm like, is Drew injured? Is everything all right? Like, I kept asking Mike, I'm like, is he okay? Like, is he faking that right now? Or is he actually hurt? Like, they definitely aired the side of caution when they were performing tonight. And again, that's not their fault. Obviously with the elements, it's just the nature of the beast, and that's what their cards are dealt, and they have to deal with it, right? Mm-hmm. But I do agree with you. My focus was there, but my focus was also on the fact of, like, okay, like, the fans are cheering. Here are the real reactions that we're getting. So I was still, like, even if their adrenaline wasn't nearly as up as it was initially in the beginning, because, again, of the rain delay, them not being able to perform it the way they wanted to, my adrenaline was still pretty up, though, just because we were getting, like, true fan reactions. But this, I will say, it wasn't my favorite match of the night. You know what I mean? So, like, it was a good match.
Yeah.
Don't feel like it was a great match. But I was, even though getting, like, pied in the face, I would have loved to see, like, Drew McIntyre holding the belt over his head, too. Just because, again, like, his WrestleMania moment got, like, screwed up last year, right? But at the same time, though, I am happy that Bobby Lashley won, too. It's kind of one of those where, like, I was going to be happy really either way of whoever won. So, and he looked, he did look strong at the end, and it's a good feud for them to even continue. I don't think this is by any means over. You know what I mean? They can definitely continue on with this and keep it going, because they're both at that same, level where, like, it's been a long time for them to get to this point.
Right.
And I agree. And again, I don't want you guys to get me wrong. I did not hate the match. I was surprised by the ending. I did not hate the ending because it surprised me and it made total sense to have, Lashley win. It made complete sense. So I enjoyed that. I loved having the fans. I guess maybe it was just my expectations. I was expecting more.
No, I do agree with you on that. I do.
That's on me. That's on me.
It wasn't my favorite match of the night. It wasn't. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah.
But for WrestleMania, you would want, like, again, just more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh. Yeah. It's I think I do think you're right about that. I mean, if there's a big difference if you go back and watch the Vince McMahon promo to start the show where he talked about, what the one, we put our heart and soul into this week in, week out, month in, month out. But the one thing that was missing was the fans, and welcome to WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley was right behind him. And he looked like a killer behind him. And I was like, this is going to be one of those matches that it kind of like transcends that, like you're able to suspend your disbelief because they're just going to go out there and kill each other. And that was my thought when as soon as I saw Bobby Lashley behind Vince, and he just looked like get me in that ring right now and let me just kill somebody. He looked like an MMA fighter. And that's probably because I noticed that anybody who's been a former MMA fighter always does well in professional wrestling. Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, now Bobby Lashley's doing really well. But that 35-minute delay, it did hurt some things. It did. It could be that feeling wasn't there when he was coming down the ramp.
Especially being the first match out too. Like when
and of course you want to give everybody a good
match. Exactly. When you're the first, it's hard to live up to that. You know what I mean? And it's hard again. Like they kind of had to be the guinea pigs of of the remnants of this reign that happened. It wasn't completely dry. It wasn't completely, and they have to err on the side of caution.
And all the fans didn't come back to their seats either.
Exactly, which is another,
No, they had a lot of stuff going against them, definitely.
Indeed they did. All right, so talking about things going against everybody. Tag team turmoil.
Oh my god.
Turmoil.
I'm gonna let you guys start, and then I have to go on a rant. Okay, so I'll let you guys start this off, and then I have to go on a rant on this.
Turmoil was the operative word in this match. Turmoil. That's all I have to say. Roy, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll say I was correct on my prediction, which I made last night. I think the right team won, for whatever it's worth. But that's all I got. Victoria, it's all yours.
Right, Victoria, let us have it.
No, you go.
I said turmoil was the operative word in this match. It sucked.
Okay.
There's wardrobe malfunctions. There was malfunctions just in the ring.
Talk about and that you know how you mentioned before, when you're focused on something, you're so focused on.
I didn't focus on any wardrobe malfunctions.
Wasn't talking about that. Can you let me finish, please? For the love of God, let me speak.
I just want that clear.
When things happen, again, the first match, they had the rain, right? And then you have Dana Brooke and her whole, the wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, did you see Mandy Rose slip on the ramp, too? From the rain?
Yeah. No, I did.
That was gift all over the place.
Yeah. But, and again, being a woman, when you are not comfortable in your costume or your whatever, it really, it changes the whole thing. If you noticed, both Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, anytime they moved, literally any little movement, they were like this after. They put their hands over their chests. They could, and I don't blame them. Dana Brooke, I think it was twice, right? Twice they had to cut the camera.
Blacked the screen out.
They had to, because of the wardrobe malfunction. This was just a shit show and a half from start to finish. Although I do agree with Roy, the right team won for this particular. If we had to have this stupid frickin' match, the right team won, definitely, because they are the veterans of the females, right? It just worked. You know what I mean? It made the most sense for them to win. But again, people, what are we doing with these women? You had such a polar opposites. You had that shit show, and then you had at the end of the night, this amazing match between and again, not everybody's going to be amazing. It's not like that with the men either. Not everyone. You have the people who are really good. You have people who job, and then you have your ultimate superstars, right? But
indeed,
what the fuck?
Well, this is just it's the problem with the women's division. It's you have stars, and then it's really the Wild West after that. It's who is it's a who's who of fuckery. It's so bad. There's Mandy Rose taking the spill. I actually felt bad for her when that happened. I was like, oh, that's.
But she took it like a pro though.
Yeah, she did. She took it in stride. And
But you know what though? Those type of things they do. Like
you have
I
no
felt so
choice.
bad for Dana Brooke. I really did. Because
Well,
that
nobody wants that to happen.
No.
Of course not. And you know what? Like
No.
we you know, it's one thing to like talk about it. Like it's a woman's body still. Like you know, those are parts that you obviously don't want the world to see, and you don't want that happening on a big stage and on a night like this.
Well, it's even like fans are there, so it's not even like, oh, okay, they're performing in front of the. I mean, again, yeah, people are on camera like at the Thunderdome, but like there are actual fans there. And again, you get self-conscious, like you don't know at that point. They every single move they made, they were covering themselves.
And then it turns into what Drew and Bobby were doing, where it's like now we're not thinking about the match anymore.
Yeah.
Now we're just trying to get through it without
it, without
twins popping.
absolutely. It just that was just, but that was
Even,
so 2021 of the women's division. Why wouldn't nip slips be happening? And like and I don't think anybody particularly did well in that match.
Nobody,
and like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like anybody else did, but
I did like the tag team of Billie Kay and Carmella. I did. Roy's face right there.
For comic relief, though. No, but for comic relief.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's it. That's it. It was so bad. Look, it was so bad that it was funny. It was so bad that it was good, type of thing. And nothing worked. Even when was it when the Riot Squad got eliminated or something? They got the pin. Even the ring announcer got it wrong. Like everything that could have gone wrong in that match went wrong.
And the only thing that didn't happen was like a power outage. Because I remember what was that match?
In your house.
I remember In Your House. But there was actually a women's match at WrestleMania. I think it was Mania 24, and I think Snoop Dogg was there, and he was so high that he fell asleep while sitting in a throne. Go look it up. It happened, but I think it was like a Playboy Bunny Playmate match. I think Maria was in I don't know, but this is what I do know is that the power went out during that match, and Snoop Dogg was asleep, and I was like, well, that's the women in 2008. And unfortunately, we've made some major strides. And on the same show that has Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks in a main event match, you have this. This is so like what do Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair have to face 15,000 times and we get burned out on that combination?
That's the problem.
Because they're the only ones that can go on the roster.
I mean, that's the only that was the main problem with Raw in itself, was like it was Becky and Charlotte, and then Ronda was there for some time, but then she obviously left.
She's rumored to be coming back.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see for tomorrow night if how that women's match goes, the tag team match, anyways, because I'm not. I can't think. I'm sorry. Like my mind just went to a blur there. But I can't see tomorrow's match being any worse than tonight's.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see. With Nia Jax,
we'll see.
Reginald, and it's got potential to be the worst. But after that, I forget who made a point in the chat room. But after that, we had 5 matches in a row that kept getting incrementally better until it peaked in the main event, which is how all shows should be.
Yes, 100%.
Like every match was kind of better than the last one. Maybe that's not fair to say about the steel cage match. I don't think that was better, but I mean the tag team title match.
It was still entertaining though.
Was what it was. It wasn't like the most exciting match on earth, but logic dictates that they should want to keep the big man out of the match, and so it was a well wrestled match, even though it wasn't exciting. Like that's what you would do if this was real. You wouldn't want Omos to get in the ring, so you would try to keep AJ Styles from making the tag,
right,
to prevent that from happening. And yeah, that doesn't make for an exciting match, but it's like, well, I get it.
I understand.
But man, Omos, when he got the ring, AJ Styles and Omos, the new Raw Tag Team Champions, that dude's big. He's big.
Yeah.
I would be scared of him.
7'2",
Yeah, I think
7'3".
he's legitimately the biggest athlete they've ever had in WWE.
Oh,
He's
really?
bigger. He's bigger than the Big Show.
Great Khali.
I think he might be taller than Great Khali. Now, Great
Do you want
Khali
me to look
had
it up?
Great Khali had acromegaly, which doesn't like it translates to like big size, but it's more of like distortion, like it makes like your just like everything bigger, like your hands, your face, like like look what happened to Andre. Like Andre, I think Andre was only like in real life like 6'9", 6'10". He wasn't like 7 foot, 5 or whatever they made him out to be. He was. I don't think he was 7 foot, but it's like it distorted like his facial features and his hands and his feet and his chest and all that stuff. How tall is Great Khali?
Omos is taller than Great Khali.
I thought so.
Wow, that by 2 inches.
Wow.
Khali also had
Wow.
acromegaly, and he actually had the tumor removed off his pituitary gland at WWE's behest. Like he had gone through his whole entire life. And that obviously killed Andre at 46. Because it puts a strain on your heart as you continue to grow and you can't get around that well. And they're like, look, Khali, you can keep that pituitary. You can keep that tumor on your pituitary gland. We can't. Like, I think they were going to wash their hands of him if he didn't get it done, because they don't want anybody dying on their watch.
I'm so shocked by that though, because if you look at it, like when I don't know physically, Khali just looks bigger.
I don't think, and I also don't think he has acromegaly either. I think he's just a really legitimately tall dude. Because he's not like he's not like misproportioned. Like his face is just like a regular face. He's just really big.
Well, that's why I'm saying that's why I thought Great Khali was bigger, but no, he's 2 inches taller.
Great Khali got inducted into the Hall of Fame, off of a similar debut, and then shortly after that, he became the Punjabi Playboy. So Omos, just from this one match, is a WWE Hall of Famer, in my opinion, because that's the standards for the WWE Hall of Fame.
That's just how tall you are.
You have like one good run, and in Khali's case, he had like one good night where he crushed the Undertaker, and then after that was all downhill from there. But in truth, WWE hasn't done a big man. Okay, that doesn't sound right.
Where are you going with this?
I'm trying to. Okay, let me just reword that. They haven't. Yeah, thank you, Roy. Thank you. They haven't booked a big man. I don't know what they do on their free time, but like they haven't booked a big man well since Andre. Like, so this was a good debut for Omos. I was actually interested in Omos. He moves. Somebody said he moves very easy in the ring. Like Big Show, like he was enormous. Obviously, he was an attraction, but
I'll have to look it up
they
later.
didn't treat him like he was kind of a goof after a while. Like when he was doing like the Big Show-mania and Show Kishi and all that stuff. He was a year into his run and they were already treating him like a comedy act. Maybe they do the right thing with Omos and just turn him into like a legit monster. Just have him wrestle every now and then, and I don't know, like. I want to see that. I want to see like that special attraction big man again. Could he be that, Roy?
Yeah, if booked properly, I think they could. I mean, and by booked properly, I mean, and as much as I hate this because I actually like having tag teams and stuff, but don't have him and AJ defend the titles
right
every week. Like you said, have it be like a special attraction once every pay-per-view, every 2-3 pay-per-views or something. Where you're like, shit, I want to see what's going to happen with this guy. What are they going to do? Similar in a way, but I guess not at the same level, but similar in a way to Brock Lesnar, where like Brock's going to wrestle. Shit, I have to watch it, see what he's going to do. Similar to that in the sense of, okay, well, Omos is not someone we're going to see every week. He's on TV every week, but he's not going to wrestle every week. And I think if they do it that way, they could get some longevity out of it. If booked properly.
I agree with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that too. We've said this before. It's important for somebody in his particular case to not be showcased often. You know what I mean? It's got to be a special attraction. It's got to be something that, you want to see once in a while. You don't want every week to be competing for something.
Oh,
It's just
you get burned out on that
it
real
burns
quick.
out, you know. And to me personally, if I were a performer in that type of, you know, if I had that special, you know, whatever feature, I wouldn't care. Like I would want to be like that attraction. I wouldn't care being like, okay, I don't need to be showcased every week. Because if I'm getting that big reaction, that big pop every time I come out, you know, that's good. You know, I think everyone has a place, and he definitely could have a place in this company.
Indeed.
In a different way than you know your average superstar.
Well, like a special attraction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like somebody mentioned, like, you know, about Undertaker and Kane being big men, but they weren't like booked like they were booked as, you know, special characters, not. But you know, like Andre the Giant there was like no character to him. He was just Andre the Giant.
Big, yeah.
Like a special attraction. Come and see Andre. Well, like that was more of like, you know, Andre thrived because wrestling was still emerging from that, like, you know, sideshow act. You know, like, so he was like, you know, every sideshow needs the bearded lady or the special, you know.
Yeah.
In this case, we have the Giant.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a place in wrestling for that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
There is, and I was looking at his Instagram a couple of days ago, and I just kind of re-looked at it. He was in NXT apparently, so he was, because there's a picture of him with Riddle, with him, Riddle, Damian Priest, and I think Angel Garza in NXT. So he does have some wrestling background experience. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to see it. I don't know if he got cut because he just wasn't any good, but he might surprise us down the line. He might surprise us down the line.
He's been around for a while. I remember when they had house shows, like, you know, doing results, and Jordan, I think his real name was like Jordan Amagbihin. He would frequently wrestle on the house shows, but he never wrestled on television. So, hey, I thought it was a great performance. I thought, you know, again, the New Day, you know, the whole thing just was booked really, really well. And I loved Big E doing the introduction for the New Day, and just seeing that, I love that. I love Big E, man. I'm so jealous you get to have him every week on SmackDown.
He's great. He really is.
He is.
So that was fun. But as our resident SmackDown recapper, Roy, tell us about what you thought about Cesaro versus Seth Rollins.
Oh man, see, if it were up to me, that match would have opened the show, just because you knew Cesaro was gonna put in a performance of a lifetime, and Rollins, I know you tweeted it, I can't remember your exact words, but Seth really sold. He sold very well. He tried his best to get Cesaro over, and Cesaro as well, and they, like the main event, they told a very good story in the ring. You know, Cesaro tried to spin him around a couple of times, 2-3 times, and he finally did with the sharpshooter. He hit him with with his finisher. Seth kicked out with the neutralizer, and then Seth kicked out. And even the commentators, Michael Cole, were like, "Oh my God, you know, this is new to Cesaro. This is new territory. He can't believe it." And then Seth played on it as well. He said, "I kicked out from the neutralizer. I kicked out from this. You can't beat me. You can't do this. You can't do that." It was very impressive, both guys. Man, Cesaro's a heck of an athlete. I'm not saying anything, obviously, that hasn't already been said, but he showed it again tonight, man. This guy deserves so much better than what he's getting. And credit to Seth as well. He was very, very good tonight. His corkscrew splash off the top rope surprised the heck out of me. He was good. He was good. This got the crowd going. And when Cesaro won, you look at the reactions from the crowd, and thank God there was an audience, because they just added so much more to it. Incredible. Absolutely loved it.
This deserved an audience. This definitely deserved an audience. Yeah. And Roy, I 100% agree with you. First of all, these two are so good technically. They just had such a great chemistry in the ring together. And the fact that Rollins sold the way that he did for Cesaro just speaks volumes, honestly, about the type of person that, again, Rollins is, saying that, like, you know, Cesaro does deserve that opportunity. It was a long time coming, and this should have happened years ago, honestly. Cesaro has always shown that, like, he can do it. There was never it was never a case of that he can never do it. You know what I mean? He always had that ability, and you put him in a match with somebody and he'll deliver. You know, I get so mad that Vince said that about him at the time about your
Oh, that was so bad.
It was so bad, but it really hurt him, you know, because there wasn't that push and there wasn't that they weren't behind him, you know. But like,
I can't imagine how much that must have hurt to hear that. Too.
I mean, but despite hearing that, he always performs and always delivers. And tonight was nothing but just proving once again of where he should have been doing this. This should have happened a long time ago, you know, where he's put with somebody who could be equally as good as him in the ring together. This benefited both of them, honestly, and nobody looked like a chump coming out of this.
Seth Rollins and Cesaro, they're actually training partners. They longtime friends, from what I understand. Like, you could see how much Seth Rollins was going out of his way to sell for Cesaro, to make him look good. You know, I'm not huge on the Cesaro. I'm sorry, on the Seth Rollins character, but I thought even like his character work tonight in the match were really really good.
Great. It was great. It really was.
But I mean, you know, it took 10 years. This is Cesaro's first singles match at a WrestleMania. 10 years he's been with this company at least, you know, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, it is just about. I think I remember him at like SummerSlam 2011. So it's been about 10 years, and you know there was a lot to say about, like, when Seth Rollins in that unscripted promo that was actually really good, talking about you know, Cesaro's trying to jump on my back and, you know, go into superstardom on that, you know, potential he's been meandering in for years. I'm like, yeah, well, he kind of has been. So now it's like 10 years in. He's always been like a what if guy. It's time to shit or get off the pot at this point. We're let's see what Cesaro can do now. Daniel Bryan has been instrumental in getting Cesaro over as well. Let's not, you know, discount what he's done as well. Daniel Bryan, main event of WrestleMania tomorrow night, putting Cesaro over multiple times earlier this year on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So they're gearing up to do something with him. And let's see what they do. So,
the only knock on Cesaro is probably just on the mic, but yeah, if you put him with someone, that you have the total
absolutely.
package.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, well, they had him with Paul Heyman for a time when Heyman was looking for something to do when Brock wasn't there, and but it just didn't go where we wanted it to go. You know, and it's like Heyman, that was him trying to take on, I think, too many projects. You know, like I think he like it just didn't. They didn't have the chemistry.
Yeah.
But he does need somebody.
He needs a mouthpiece.
Indeed, and he does wear a mouthpiece.
That's oh my God.
He does. What do you want to say?
I can't with you.
But overall, that was a really good match. That was another one where I would say that was almost kind of star making, in a sense. You know, like they went out of their way to make Cesaro look really good.
It's like,
and
finally, hello, like.
And, well, you know, let's see what happens there. Let's see what happens. So moving on, I think we just have one more thing to talk about that we haven't talked about yet, and that is the stupid match. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon in a steel cage match. The match wound up being pretty good. I hate, detest, abhor, abominate everything about this storyline. I think it's shit. I think it's stupid. I think Braun Strowman trying to beat Shane McMahon up for anybody who's ever been called stupid when he is in fact stupid, because they actually, the whole reason this is happening is because Braun Strowman can't differentiate between the WWE Championship and the Universal title. Like, Shane's right to call him stupid, number one. Like, number two, it was just horrible, horrific. But the match actually wound up smoke and mirrors, a lot of smoke and mirrors, and the Shane bump wasn't like obnoxious, and it kind of fit into the parameters of the match. But when he tore the freaking side off the cage, I was like, I actually laughed when he did that. You know, like Shane was like, there was that one spot where Shane climbs over the top. He has Braun Strowman down in the ring, and he puts his hand through the fencing and goes, bye, bro. Like he was doing that whole thing. It was like really actually kind of funny. And then Braun grabbed his hand, ripped the side of the cage off, pulled him back in, then put him on top and slammed him off. I thought that was hilarious, actually. I'm not quite sure it made up for everything that I had to suffer through in this past month and a half with this bullshit storyline. And at no time was there green slime involved. Like, I still don't understand what the green slime was about. But through smoke and mirrors, they kind of pulled the rabbit out of the hat here. I wasn't insulted watching it.
So
I
you didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
There you go. At least. No, it was something had to give, honestly, and because you mentioned the fact where Shane put his hand through and he was like, but bye. In my head, I'm like, there's no way this match is ending right now without a bump.
Oh.
Like, there's no fucking way. And then when Braun got up, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is happening. But I'm like you, a lot of smoke and mirrors. I didn't hate it. Didn't particularly love it, right? The only thing I'll say is that bump was probably not the most like aesthetically pleasing bump that Shane has ever done, but that's probably the bump that it hurt the most throughout his career.
Anybody who's ever taken a bump in a professional wrestling ring knows that bump of everything that Shane does, maybe like the leap of faith is just as impactful, but like of all the bumps he's taken, he falls into crash pads and stuff like that. That one probably sucked the most by far. I've bumped in a wrestling ring before. It's not fun getting even just swept off your feet. You get used to it. You can get used to it. I can see your body getting conditioned to that feeling, but to get slammed off that is not a small cage. It's up there. Mm-hmm. And to take that bump and to take a flip too at his age, at 50 years old, that'll rearrange some vertebrae. That hurts.
Yeah.
And when he landed just below his neck, like on his shoulders, I'm like, fuck, that he's gonna feel it.
I was kind of waiting, like every time Shane takes a bump, every time he takes one of those like nasty bumps, they always zoom in on his face and his eyes are doing that like flutter thing, like where he's like looks like his eyes are rolling the back of his head. I was so mad that they didn't get that shot this time. I really wanted to see Shane's eyes fluttering, like every time he takes one of those. But like we've been calling that lately in the chat for Post Raw, the "Daddy love me" bump. Like please, Daddy love me.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say, I was actually pretty entertained by this whole thing. My favorite part though was when Braun was like, "This is for," like he said it again.
I'm gonna do this.
I'm doing this for anybody who's ever been called stupid before.
And then he started pointing.
That was so
it was so
cringy.
bad, right? And remember when he was going, "This is for everybody who's ever been called stupid or been bullied," and then he starts pointing at people in the crowd. "This is for you and you and you." It's like, I've never been fucking called stupid in my life, asshole.
I have, so you know what? This is great for me.
Yeah, but like imagine he like points at somebody. He's like, "What makes you think that anybody would call me stupid? You're a jerk off."
I was dying. I was like, this is fantastic right now.
I get strong like Eric and Don Jr. Trump vibes from Shane, where it's like, like obviously, you got Stephanie for Vince and Ivanka for Trump, and it's like, I want to be loved by Daddy too. Look what I'll do for you, Daddy, at WrestleMania. I'll take the big bump. Do you love me now?
That's some weird ass.
Yeah, Shane is like the epitome of daddy issues.
That's what we call the daddy love me.
Oh man,
love me, daddy.
I don't know. I was laughing. I had all types of fun during this match, despite the fact that it's been a shitty fucking lead up.
So, okay, so I think that kind of saves it from being the worst feud of the year. and potentially all time because they had like an okay match. I don't know what the hell Braun and Randy are gonna do tomorrow night. Oh, not Braun. Sorry, the Fiend and Randy are gonna do tomorrow night.
Right.
That's a straight up wrestling match. That's not that they said it's gonna be straight up wrestling.
Someone's getting burned.
I don't know, man. I mean, you got one guy that
Right.
got burnt alive. He's gonna wear that weird
Oh.
Freddy Krueger
Yes,
mask.
I think he
that...
is.
Oh.
Well,
Oh,
because Bray
God.
Wyatt is dead now. It's only the Fiend, I think. So
Fair.
if I can
Apparently, so someone mentioned it yesterday in the SmackDown chat. He said, "Are we gonna get the Fiend plus Bray Wyatt, like kind of like when we had the two doinks, Doink the Clowns, the two evil doinks?" Because tomorrow's gonna confirm whether, because if tomorrow's match is actually better than tonight's, then is Shane and Braun the worst feud?
I'll say yes.
So it just depends on the next
So
match.
it depends on how well they do.
Yeah.
The fight to the
The
death.
one good thing about tomorrow, yeah. The one good thing about tomorrow's match, because I'm a sucker for it, might just be the Fiend's entrance. Because I'm actually curious about what they're gonna do with it. Because I'm obviously a big Undertaker fan, so I like that whole dark, mystical stuff, whatever. But I'm looking forward to seeing his entrance. Beyond that, I don't give a fuck about what the hell they're gonna do. It's so bad, and I feel bad for Randy because he's actually been good
Yes.
for the past year, and he hasn't been phoning it in. And like I watched his episode with
Yeah, it was great.
Austin, the Broken Skull. I loved it, and he admitted, he said, "Look, I finally just understood the business and what to do and everything." And you could tell the past year he's really stepped it up. So for them to throw him in some shitty storyline like this, I honestly feel bad for him. We'll see what gives tomorrow a little bit. My expectations are very low.
Yeah, I like mine are pretty down there on this one. I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do.
I don't know if I'm gonna laugh or cry tomorrow.
It's got potential to be horrendous.
Put it this way: after tomorrow, that feud's over. You
I
don't
hope
have to deal
so.
with it
Well,
on
I
Raw
mean,
anymore.
Alexa Bliss did say Randy Orton was gonna die. They used the D word that you can't again.
God.
But but how much logic does that? How does that make any even close to any sense at all? It's like, well, I tried to get the Fiend out of my life by burning him alive, and I couldn't do that. So now we're just gonna have a wrestling match, and that's gonna do it. It's like, what?
If we thought having the worms
Oh
on
God,
the canvas
yes.
a couple of years ago
Oh
was bad, I could only imagine what tomorrow's gonna bring.
yeah, I forgot about the damn freaking maggots and worms and ants and shit like that. We were there live
Yeah.
for that, and we were like, what the hell is this shit?
Oh, look, lucky
Oh,
you
we're
guys.
so lucky.
Well, we thought we were seeing Undertaker's last match. That's why we were there, but alas, it was not.
It's not.
He came back for a few more. He should have ended it right there. Actually, I still think he should have ended it at Extreme Rules. But hey, the Boneyard match was still really good too. But I don't think you
Yeah.
do I don't think they're gonna do a cinematic match. You're not gonna leave a crowd, that's starved for wrestling,
No.
sitting for 20, 30 minutes. But Brett Farmer, tomorrow we're gonna have another rain delay followed by a weird ass Fiend match. I hope they put the Fiend and Randy Orton in the main event, and right after Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman Reigns, there's a huge thunderstorm, an earthquake, and the ring collapses. They can't do anything. It's like, sorry, no Fiend, Randy
But
Orton,
then we'll never
and then they just
know.
forget about it.
No, but then we'll never know what
No.
the worst feud is.
No, they could have.
Oh
it on Raw
God,
the next-
thank jeez, Christ Almighty.
No, we have to end it tomorrow.
It
Just has to end.
It has to end,
and we have to figure out.
or I'll die. I think. So miserable, but night 2 is looking pretty good. I'm gonna read off that card in a sec. But let's get your opinions real quick on what did you think of tonight's show overall. Roy, would you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
No, thumbs up, thumbs up. You can't give this show a thumbs down just for the fact that we had fans back. That alone took what I thought already was a good card and a good showing brought it up a level. No, definitely a thumbs up. Loved having the fans back. Missed it
Yeah,
so much. The the pay-per-view got better as it went along, right? Not to say there was the women's tag team turmoil match aside, I don't think there was a single bad match, to be honest with you. Again, I wasn't the biggest fan of Drew and Lashley, even though I wanted to like it. I don't think it was bad. Um, I enjoyed it to a certain extent, and the rest just kind of got better and better and better and better. And every match served its purpose. The Bad Bunny match served its purpose. The steel cage match, you had the bump. Everything did something, and if you're a wrestling fan, I think chances are if you watch this show tonight, there was something for you. I think there was something out there for
absolutely.
everyone
I
tonight.
agree with you. Chat room, let us know what you think about this show. You give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Victoria, what do you say?
I have to give it 2 thumbs up. I really did enjoy it. I was not looking forward to WrestleMania. You were excited about it all day. I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel like this was WrestleMania week. There's nothing that screamed wrestling to me, but I put those feelings aside. I was like, let me just give it a chance and see if my mood can change. And it did. It did. Throughout the night, it got more and more exciting for me, and it felt like a WrestleMania. And I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow now.
Okay. All right. I also have to give this a thumbs up. I thought, yeah, again, kind of for like what Roy said and what you've been saying too. Like there was a lot of good stuff on the show, and just having fans back really and they delivered on what they what I think they wanted to do, which was just like let's just have the best show that we could possibly have for the fans again. On Twitter, the people are giving this 88% thumbs up right now, so that's a pretty strong. Yeah, people liked what they saw. Let's check out the chat room. I'm looking for it. All right, so we got Quentin Walters gives a thumbs up. Andrew Elder saying 70 to 100% chance of rain and storms tomorrow in Florida. Wow. Daniel Shell thumbs up for Black Excellence and a great show. Here's Tonight too, being just as good. Indeed, amen. And Quentin Walters gives a thumbs up for what he watched. He didn't watch it all. Nafisa Doc gives a thumbs up, and Billy Hefner way up. Let's talk about real quick before we head off the air. Even Goosey said that this was a really good show. That had to be hard for him to say that, but Goosey liked it. 2 fists in the air. Did you notice tonight when Steve Austin was doing the hype video for WrestleMania 38 in April of 2022? They announced the next couple WrestleManias. When they announced that this was going to be a 2-night event, they said that Dallas would be, I forget what date they said, but they did hammer out a date. And then they said that was it Levi Stadium in California, that was going to be also, they hammered that out as an actual date. But when Steve Austin did the hype video for WrestleMania 38 for next year, it just said April 2022. Why didn't they say, the actual date? Are they thinking about making WrestleMania like a long weekend?
They should.
I think this 2-night thing is awesome so far.
I think so. I realized that too. At the end when they wrote April 2022, I'm like, but they already announced the date. They said next year's going to be one night, and the year after in California is going to be one night. But I guess this year is really like the guinea pig. Like last year, Performance Center 2 nights, understandable. I think this year is really the guinea pig to see how things are going. And I'm like you, Mike. I'm enjoying it that it's 2 nights. It's really good. We're not completely burnt out. It's not a 10-hour show, and for them, again, if it brings in profit, why not do it 2 nights?
It was very telling. I mean, you announce a date ahead of time, and then you just say April 2022. I actually think that they might move that to 2 nights because I mean, think like for as good as Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair was. There's no way that main event if that's a single night card, number one, and number two, that would get lost in the shuffle so much, and every match would. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins wouldn't have as much impact for Cesaro's career if that took place as, match 6 on a 15-match 8-hour card.
I think back to the 2 years ago when we were at that WrestleMania, right? And it was so long. And then by the time, this historical event happened with this triple threat match with these women, right, for the main event, the crowd was just they were dead at that point. Nobody really, not that nobody cared, but like really nobody was excited for it.
Yeah.
So doing this strategically would make the most sense, and it would really, like, financially too, like, get that money going. It's good. It's good. And especially too, we don't know where we're gonna be next year. You know what I mean? Like, I anticipate, yes, because they want to get fans back and everything more consistently in the fall, but like, this just makes more sense. You could see how the year goes and see if things are progressing the way that they should be with COVID or whatever, and just do it. Just go for it. It's not going to hurt them. Yeah. You're going to get the fans in there. If you allot that time for the 2 days, people will come. They will.
Right.
No, and I agree absolutely. And who knows, exactly like you said, Victoria, who knows where we're going to be in a year? They were talking last year, oh yeah, by SummerSlam we're gonna have fans.
Yeah,
I thought so.
I thought so. I'm
like,
why are they doing that?
I was like, why are they doing WrestleMania? They should just make a whole big thing like WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Like, I was like bitching and moaning. I'm like, why they even do WrestleMania? I did not think we were gonna be in it this long. So
I think we'll, God willing, be out of it or close to being out of it by 2022. For God's sake, we better be.
I just think it would be hopefully a really.
But I think you double up on that money, and you get number one, they spend so much time designing those sets and all that stuff. You get 2 night uses out of the sets itself, which aren't cheap to make, and you double the gate, and you sell those packages, like all the packages, basically sold out for WrestleMania night 1, night 2, and they sold them at a pretty penny, and there were people there tonight, and that was at a limited thing. Imagine what they could do for Dallas. They already set the indoor attendance record there. It's not like they need to do that again. So what if you don't get like 100,000? Let's say you get 90,000, on the first night and 85 the second night or whatever. You're still making really good money. And it's better for your show. It's a better experience for the people there. It's a better experience for the people at home. And in the long run, it'll be better for the characters on your show to have moments that can live and breathe, resonate with people, rather than just like, oh, that's right. At WrestleMania 35, at 7 hours and 30 minutes into the show, that's right. Finn Balor as the Fiend did beat Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental title. I remember that. Yeah, that did happen. That happened 15 years ago. It's like, what the hell? So I just thought it was very curious because the date that they announced was April 3rd, 2020. You're telling me that they couldn't put a 3 and a comma in between April 2022?
I think we're heading towards a 2-nighter.
I hope we're heading towar's a 2-nighter. I actually think NXT TakeOver was kind of like a guinea pig to see, how, that's like, let's just start setting the focus on 2 nights for these weekends. Let's see how many people tune into that. Mm-hmm. Let's see, can we do a 2-night NXT and a 2-night WrestleMania? Let's see what happens.
I think they could. And in terms of tickets, tickets for this WrestleMania went on sale, 2-3 weeks ago? Usually they go on sale in September.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it was hammered out how many people they were going to actually have in the building.
I'm trying to remember who it was. Yesterday, I think it was Daniel Bryan said 25,000 fans in attendance at WrestleMania.
Yes, for tonight. WWE sent an email that I have to put up when we get off the air here. They sent me a press release that WrestleMania did sell out. A sellout crowd of 25,675 fans attended night 1 of WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium, with millions more watching at home on Peacock in the U.S. and on WWE Network around the world.
Yeah, there you go. I guess that's the first time probably in decades they haven't even mentioned the attendance as well.
which
is
is also
understandable.
kind of masturbatory as well. You know, like I hate when they have to
Yeah.
like stop the show and do that whole thing, and like that's like, who cares? It's like, you know, like even like the 100,000 thing, I was just like, great. Now, what does that mean to me? You know, it's like still 93,000 at the Pontiac Silverdome. You know, is more impressive, but.
Well, looking back, it means we used to live a pretty crazy life that you were able to go to a stadium or an arena with 93,000 fans and not wear a mask and not
That's
think
right.
about the
That's
consequences.
very true. That's very true.
Miss being able to breathe in.
But it's interesting sometimes the stuff that they leave off. It's interesting, and I thought that was just a little interesting thing. Yeah. But I think we can close on that. Let's pray that WrestleMania is a 2-night event next year. But WrestleMania this year is a 2-night event, and we will be back tomorrow for another Wrestleview Live to recap night 2. I will be joined by Mr. Douglas Lackey, so you can get all your wheeze out there tomorrow night. I want to say thank you to my darling wife Victoria for joining me on the show tonight, and Mr. Roy Nemer. Catch the SmackDown post show. You have to watch it. It's required viewing.
Mandatory.
Be there. Or literally you're
a jerk. That's it.
But Roy, you do a great job on that podcast. We love what you do, and I know that people really enjoy it as well. I see great feedback on it all the time. So.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. I'm learning from the best. What could I say? I'm learning from Victoria. What could I say?
Indeed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, everybody. I'm Mike Tedesco, editor of Wrestleview.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked our show, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're a first timer here. We'll be back tomorrow night, and then we have post Raw on Monday, and then Roy's back on Friday with the SmackDown post show. We'll see you with a lot of stuff going on. So we'll see you tomorrow night, WrestleMania Night 2. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.